Welcome in. Imagine stepping out onto a balcony to watch the sunrise, right?
Okay.
You're expecting that familiar warmth, that classic symbol of a new day, a fresh start.
Yeah, the usual comforting morning vibe.
Exactly. But now imagine that instead of illuminating the world, those golden rays begin actively casting shadows. And these
Mm.
shadows, they detach themselves from the ground and just start hunting down everything in their path.
That is a terrifying visual.
Right. I mean, you already know the cutthroat, backstabbing politics of the Sangwo landscape. Today, we are exploring a version of this world where those familiar court intrigues just collide head-on with apocalyptic prophecies.
It's completely wild.
We are unpacking an incredibly rich document today. It's the Abyssal Heaven lore sheet from the Grand Archive, credited to Weebs of the Shore in 2025. And I gotta say, it completely shatters the geopolitical chessboard you might be used to.
It really does. It's just a masterful piece of dark fantasy world building. And our mission for today's exploration is to map out this fractured landscape for you. Analyze the highly volatile magic systems they're weaponizing.
Oh, the magic is insane.
It really is.
Yeah.
And we'll look at the impending doom that makes their political squabbles look, well, almost trivial by comparison.
Definitely.
By the end of this conversation, you'll have a clear picture of exactly who is clawing their way toward the vacant throne, the grim coalitions they are forced to build, and, honestly, the terrifying moral cost this pursuit of power demands from their souls.
That opening prophecy is just chilling. As I mentioned, it completely subverts the very idea of dawn.
Yeah, it doesn't hold back.
The text explicitly states, "When the first golden rays of sun break upon our land, it will herald the birth of a new era of darkness."
So good.
It paints this picture of shadows roaming the earth, harvesting souls to pave the way for an unknown false god.
Right.
It immediately reframes everything. I mean, you came here for political maneuvering, and suddenly you're handed an extinction-level event.
It forces a complete reassessment of the stakes. We aren't dealing with a standard succession crisis over taxation or territory here.
Not at all.
The prophecy establishes an existential threat right out of the gate, and it operates with incredibly narrow criteria for salvation.
Oh, yeah. The celestial countermeasure to this false god isn't an army.
No, it requires a highly specific type of champion, someone blessed by celestial light from beyond the stars.
And what strikes me about that celestial requirement is how impossibly high the bar is set.
It's absurdly high.
To stave off this chaos, the prophecy says this champion must summon the forces of water, fire, and wind.
Specifically to harness lightning from the heavens.
Yes, that isn't just a high-level magic spell. That implies a complete mastery over nature itself.
Exactly.
Is the prophecy setting the world up to fail? I mean, finding someone who can wield that kind of elemental arsenal feels like searching for a needle in a haystack while the haystack is actively burning down.
That is precisely the tension the text wants you to feel. If we look at the overarching narrative, it frames the subsequent political maneuvering in a deeply ironic light.
How so?
Well, the lore firmly establishes that the world is standing on a knife's edge. They're facing a literal cosmic threat. Yet, the leaders we were about to discuss are still squabbling over a throne.
Oh, right.
They're fighting for control of the steering wheel while the vehicle is careening toward a cliff. It makes you question the priorities and, honestly, perhaps the sanity of every faction leader involved.
Which brings us to the chaos currently ripping through Sangwo. You know the sheer gravity a figure like Lu Bu brings to any conflict in this setting?
Always a massive presence.
Taking the ultimate wild card out of the equation doesn't bring peace. It shatters the landscape into a million jagged pieces.
Because a sudden absence of that magnitude always accelerates conflict. When the apex predator is removed, the remaining contenders inevitably fracture.
They form their own opportunistic factions.
Exactly, and escalate their aggressive tactics. The vacuum of power is absolute. And this introduces us to the first major player trying to fill it.
Faction Wu.
Right, Faction Wu, led by Sun Quan and heavily supported by the Sun family.
Now, Faction Wu possesses the Imperial Seal. In any normal context, holding the seal means you hold the legitimate right to rule.
It's the ultimate mandate.
But the lore introduces a massive, frustrating paradox. They have the symbol of power, but they are relentlessly searching for two things: the hidden throne itself and the true purpose of the seal.
It's a poison chalice.
Totally. Imagine holding the keys to the kingdom, but you have absolutely no idea where the locks are.
It's a brilliant subversion of the standard MacGuffin trope. The seal isn't just a stamp of bureaucratic authority in this iteration,
No, it's described almost like a magical focus.
or a key that is entirely impotent without its corresponding lock.
Yeah.
Sun Quan has the object that everyone in the realm is willing to kill for.
Which paints a massive target on his back.
Huge target. Yet it grants him zero tactical or magical advantage on the battlefield.
Imagine being in Sun Quan's position. You have the ancestral legitimacy, but you're staring at a piece of jade that does absolutely nothing while enemy armies amass on your borders.
The sheer paranoia that must be breeding within the Sun family.
They're powerful in name, but desperately vulnerable in practice. And while Sun Quan is staring at a useless artifact, his rivals aren't waiting around.
Definitely not.
Cao Cao, over in Faction Way, is dealing with a much more visceral kind of desperation.
Let's look at Cao Cao's position.
Mm-hmm.
She is renowned for her tactical brilliance. But the lore establishes that she has just been handed a crushing defeat at the hands of the newest faction on the board,
Faction Shu.
led by Liu Bei alongside her new ally Kong Ming. But this wasn't just a standard military outflanking. Cao Cao was routed by an unnatural force.
The text refers to her enemy as utilizing the possessed.
Right.
I really want to unpack that term, the possessed, because it implies something far darker than just enthusiastic soldiers.
Oh, absolutely.
It implies a loss of autonomy, a subversion of free will, and likely an unnatural resilience to pain and damage. Cao Cao is a strategist who relies on logic, morale, and supply lines. How do you strategize against an enemy that doesn't feel fear and doesn't bleed like a normal human?
You can't. Not with conventional warfare. And that realization pushes Cao Cao into a profound moral crisis.
Because she's backed into a corner.
The trauma of facing that unnatural, overwhelming force is actively pushing her to debate whether she should forsake her own humanity and morality.
Wow.
She is considering pursuing a magical grimoire of her own, dabbling in dark arts just to level the playing field.
It really explores the corrosive nature of power. How far will you compromise your own soul to ensure you never have to experience the helplessness of that defeat again?
Exactly.
When you look at Cao Cao's dilemma, you really have to ask yourself where your own lines are drawn. If you knew your faction, your people, were facing annihilation by an unnatural force, would you open that demonic grimoire?
It's a tough question.
It's easy to judge until you're the one watching the possessed march toward your gates. But let's flip the perspective to the victors.
Faction Shu.
Right, Liu Bei and Faction Shu are riding high on this victory. But knowing Liu Bei's traditional role in this lore as the paragon of virtue, how does the text justify her relying on this grimoire and Kong Ming's dark magic? Is it pure pragmatism?
It is pragmatism wrapped in tragedy. The lore does not let Liu Bei off the hook for this victory. It highlights a horrifying emotional toll.
How so?
Faction Shu might be winning the war geographically, but internally they are decaying. Liu Bei is deeply conflicted because her victory requires her to watch her close companion, Jin, actively succumb to demonic influence.
Oh, man.
The magic powering their success is directly channeling through Jin.
The psychological weight of that is staggering. You are securing your faction's survival, keeping your sisters alive, but the cost of admission is the soul of someone you love.
A terrible price.
Liu Bei is essentially watching Jin rot from the inside out. Jin is becoming a vessel for the very corruption that the opening prophecy warned about. It strips all the glory away from their battlefield victories.
Completely.
Is sitting on the hidden throne really worth it if you have to surround yourself with literal demons to do it?
This dynamic creates a profoundly unstable foundation for Faction Shu. You have leadership heavily reliant on volatile, corrupting magic to maintain their newly won territory.
They're winning, but they're terrified of their own weapons.
And all of this tension, Wu's paranoia over the Imperial Seal, Wei's desperate temptation toward the dark arts, and Shu's internal demonic decay is rapidly accelerating toward a singular, catastrophic choke point.
The impending battle at Chibi.
Yes.
The geopolitical landscape is shifting so fast as everyone prepares for Chibi, and out of this chaos we get a fragile alliance.
Very fragile.
The text describes rigorous trials and negotiations that result in Sun Quan agreeing to ally with Liu Bei and Kong Ming. On a tactical map, combining Wu and Shu against whatever Cao Cao is brewing in Wei seems like the only logical survival strategy.
Strategically, it is the textbook move. But the text emphasizes the psychological cracks in this grim coalition of survivors.
Because of Jin.
Exactly. There is a deeply rooted, shared fear between Sun Quan and Liu Bei. They are both highly unsettled by the physical and psychological deterioration they are witnessing in Jin.
Jin has become the walking, breathing evidence of the dark magic's true cost.
The leaders are allied on paper, but they are sleeping with one eye open, terrified of what Jin might become.
Jin is basically a walking supernatural red flag right in the middle of their war camp. You can imagine the whispers among the soldiers.
Oh, the morale must be terrible.
And this overwhelming uneasiness pushes Kongming to make a move that leads to one of the most brutal twists in the entire narrative.
Kongming is the one who brought the grimoire and the magical aid to Liu Bei's faction in the first place.
Right, she feels the direct weight of responsibility for what is happening to Jin. So she decides to seek out her mentor, hoping to find a cure or a way to contain the corruption.
It is a fundamentally human reaction. When our own expertise fails us, we seek the wisdom of those who taught us.
Makes total sense.
Kongming is searching for a sanctuary, a voice of reason in a world descending into madness. But the lore subverts this completely.
He really does.
She doesn't find a wise sage ready with a restorative elixir. She walks in to find her mentor with his hand literally stained in blood.
It is such a visceral image. You go to your most trusted advisor, the foundation of your own knowledge, hoping to fix a demonic plague, and you stumble into a bloody crime scene.
It completely pulls the rug out from under Kongming.
Her anchor to reality and morality is shattered in an instant, and this act of bloodshed, whatever horrific ritual or murder the mentor just committed, isn't just a personal betrayal.
No, it's much bigger than that.
It serves as the catalyst for the final escalation of the lore.
The mentor's actions tear the fabric of their reality. This localized, bloody event officially awakens a brand new catastrophic threat to the land of Sangwo.
A demigod.
Yes. Notice the rapid escalation of stakes here. We began with a missing warlord, evolved into political factions fighting over a seal, devolved into the use of demonic grimoires, and now we have arrived at an unholy divine intervention that dwarfs all previous conflicts.
It brings everything full circle to that opening prophecy of the false god, and it forces an incredible irony upon these factions.
Oh.
You have Sun Quan, Liu Bei, and Cao Cao, leaders who have been ruthlessly slaughtering each other's armies for a chance to claim an empty throne.
Right.
Suddenly, they are rendered entirely insignificant. The borders they bled for do not matter. The lore dictates that these fierce enemies are now forced to unite if they want their species to survive this demigod.
The internal squabbles over the imperial seal or the ethics of military magic are immediately rendered obsolete.
Instantly.
But compounding the sheer terror of a demigod walking the earth is an urgent, localized ticking clock.
Yes, the Shenju.
While the armies prepare to face this massive threat, the lore introduces a character named Guojia. He is operating in the shadows, actively gathering something referred to as the Shenju. The text explicitly states that time is running out.
Now, the text keeps the exact nature of the Shenju closely guarded, which is a brilliant narrative hook. But given the apocalyptic ticking clock, we have to assume its purpose. Is the Shenju the ultimate celestial weapon required to banish the demigod? Or, much more terrifyingly, is it the final lock, the missing piece that will fully anchor this false god to their reality?
That is the terrifying question.
Guojia, moving unchecked in the background while the world burns, adds this layer of espionage to the apocalypse.
It creates a multi-front war for survival. You have the overt physical threat of the demigod demanding a united military front, and the covert, mysterious threat of Guojia gathering the Shenju.
And right in the dead center of this unimaginable world-ending chaos is Kongming.
Yes. The emotional core of the narrative rests heavily on her shoulders.
She is trapped in the epicenter of the blast radius. She brought the magic that is currently eating Jin alive. She discovered her mentor's bloody betrayal that acted as the alarm clock for the demigod.
She's connected to all of it.
And now the lore tells us she must make a definitive choice.
The text makes it clear that before Kongming can hope to navigate the external apocalypse, she must face her own greatest fears and inner demons.
Yeah, I see.
She has to reconcile her role in bringing the grimoire to Shu, and she has to process the profound trauma of her mentor's fall from grace. If she cannot conquer her own guilt and fear, her tactical genius will be useless against the demigod.
It's a staggering burden. You really feel the claustrophobia of her situation. Every single path forward requires a sacrifice she might not be able to survive.
It really is a no-win scenario in a lot of ways.
When you step back and look at the entire tapestry of the Abyssal Heaven lore, it is a masterclass in escalating stakes and compounding consequences. It takes a political premise you are deeply familiar with, the race for Sango's throne, and morphs it into a horrifying reflection on the cost of ambition.
It presents a deeply cynical yet fascinating view of leadership and power. It argues that the pursuit of ultimate authority, whether you are relying on the ancient legitimacy of the imperial seal or desperately making pacts with demonic entities, will inevitably demand a brutal personal toll.
It's never just business.
Never. The throne might be hidden, but the cost of seeking it is paid in the open, usually with the lives and souls of those closest to the leaders.
The pyrrhic nature of every victory in this lore is just relentless. From political backstabbing to literally looking up at a dark sun while a demigod marches across the plains.
It's epic in the truest sense of the word.
Thank you for joining us on this intense exploration of the Abyssal Heaven document. We love breaking down these intricate, dark narratives with you and seeing how they twist the legends we thought we knew.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Go for it.
It brings us all the way back to the incredibly strict conditions of the opening prophecy. The text unequivocally demands a celestial champion, someone blessed by light from beyond the stars, capable of mastering water, fire, wind, and lightning to stave off the impending darkness.
Right, that impossibly high bar.
Exactly. But take a hard look at the board we just set up. With Calming drowning in guilt and battling her inner demons, Liu Bei's camp heavily corrupted by the grimoire, and Cao Cao actively tempted to forsake her humanity for dark magic. Who, in this fractured, blood-stained world, is actually pure enough to wield that celestial light?
That is a brilliant point.
Or, terrifyingly, is the arrival of the false god already too late to stop? Until next time.